Okay, Dylan, I've got your knife in there. It's at 1450 now, and that is the normalizing temperature. And I'll leave it soak at that temperature for about a half hour, and then we're going to ramp up to about 1925, and there it will soak again for a half an hour. And then we're going to pull it out and quench it in this oil, which is been heated to 125 degrees, and that's the temperature I cooled the CPM down when I do an oil quench. So I'll come back when we're taking it out of there and quenching it. Alright, been a half hour at critical temperature, so now we're going to get ready to quench this. I actually had two knives in here. Dillon's is coming out first. So into the oil and then move it around. And I'll keep it down in this oil about a total of 40 seconds. Alright. I'm going to get the other one out of here, and then we'll have this one over at the bench showing you the knife when it comes out of the foil. Alright, over here at the bench again, I'm going to cut this pack open. And let's pull Dillon's knife out of here. There we go. Still warm, but it stays relatively clean inside that foil. Got a little smoke out here when some oil got into the pack, and oil always gets into these packs when you quench down. There's just so much suction of that rapid cooling. That's what sucks the foil up against the steel and gives you quick cooling, but it stayed nice and clean. And quenching it down to 125, I mean, I can hold this in my hand. If this was an 01 knife, I'd be handling it with a glove on. But at this point we check, and we have stayed straight. So we're going to go get this into the draw, and while that's happening, I've gotten some handle material ready to laminate. And I'm going to have to clean this off with lacquer thinner because I have some oil on my fingers. But we're going to be laminating these together with epoxy and then getting them rough cut, so when this comes out of the draw we can get it cleaned up from that, and then we can get everything drilled and epoxied up, and we'll be getting this knife finished. So it's going to be about a 4-hour process to temper this steel now that it's hard. So I will come back when I've got that finished and we're getting ready to put the handles on this thing. It's moving along. Alright, I had the handle pieces laminated up, and I used some epoxy, and it's just about cured. I use a 5-minute DevCon epoxy, and the paper is just to help me separate the two handle blanks after it's cured. I wanted to take a second and show you how I prep my pins. This is 3/32 stainless pin stock, and what I want is a nice rough texture on the outside of these pins to help the epoxy grip around it. So all I do, this is a 540 die. It's an adjustable die, and so what I do is I adjust this down till it just grips the outside of this rod, and I just chuck this in my vise, and I put this in a drill, and I just drill it through until I've put a light thread on the surface of this all the way down, so it has like a ribbed feel. And then when I drill the handle holes, I'll take this tap, and this is a 440 tap, so it will just barely scrape the inside of the holes, and I'll run that into each hole. I just put this in a drill and just run that in, and so what I have are two corresponding ribbed surfaces with epoxy in between that will really lock those pins to the handle material, whatever the handle material is, and it will not let it go. And I had the knife brought back up to 1500. It's at this point, before I glue the handles on, there's a couple things I want to do. One, I have to drill the handle blanks. But the other thing I need to do now is I'm going to go ahead and put the maker's mark on here, and then I'll take it up to its final 2000 grit. So see you over there at the marking machine. Alright, let's get this cleaned up. Okay, got the maker's mark on there and got it cleaned back up. So now the next thing I want to do is get these lined up, clamped, and drilled. Alright, so there's the rough shape of the scales. I'm going to get most of that band sawed away, and then we'll finish this surface here and this surface here all the way down to final polish. And then we'll run our tap into these holes, each one of them, put some scoring in there, and we'll be getting these glued onto the knife. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm editing this footage out as I go, and I thought I was going to be able to get the knife done in one more video, but I do want to show Dillon all the different steps, and I'm looking, this thing is almost 8 minutes long now, and that to me is running long for a YouTube video, so I'm going to clip it here and upload what I've got, and then when I come back I'll just have some brief shots of getting these prepped up, and we'll be scoring the metal in this area for a good epoxy grip, as well as these surfaces, and then we'll be gluing the handles on and getting it finished in one more video. And then the last video of the series will be sheath making. So I will see you back. And if you notice, my shirt color changes. That's because I'm doing this over several days. I do not change my shirt 2 or 3 times a day. It's just taking that long to get everything done with everything else I have going. So anyway, guys, we'll see you back when we're doing the handles and getting this knife finished. Thanks a lot.